I spent my 20s raising my husband, and I don't care about fixing our marriage anymore. Essentially what the title says, I met my husband when I was 19 and he was 25, and I spent the last 9 years raising him. My husband is a genuinely good person with a kind heart, everyone loves him. But, his parents babied him and his brother their entire lives, and he still uses the excuse of a relationship that ended over 11 years ago as his reasoning for being incapable of being an equal partner and functional adult. He said most of this relationship was miserable, which shows me he will stay in an unhappy situation to avoid change, which is our situation right now. For a majority of our relationship, I contributed the bulk of the finances, housework, errands, cooking, vet appointments, car maintenance, gifts for family and friends on both sides, etc. Even when I was incredibly sick, I continued this at any time he contributed his fair share, not financially, that has always been me. He was applauded and told he was taking such great care of me. I eventually got better, right before COVID happened, and I could still see a future ahead of us. We truly are best friends, so we actually had a blast during lockdown and used the time to reconnect. Things were still unequal, but they were good nonetheless. Then, he admitted to me that his real bedroom preferences are the opposite of what he led me to believe, rendering us basically sexually incompatible after being together over 5 years at that point. I tried for a while to force it, but sex became another unsatisfying chore for me, another thing I had to give up to cater to him. It stripped me of my femininity, and placed me even further as the only dominant partner in our relationship, in the bedroom and out. This is something I had explicitly said I didn't want from the very beginning, but of course his needs always came before mine, as did everyone else's. There were multiple situations where he showed me with no uncertainty that to him, the opinions and feelings of everyone else always came above mine, even if it was a stranger. If I wanted help, I had to write lists, reminders, and give instructions. If someone else needed or wanted something, suddenly he is capable of anything without being asked twice, further showing me that I was the lowest priority on his list. After a situation where he lied to me for no reason and neglected me during a pivotal moment, I finally pushed him away in my mind. He became a best friend and a roommate. I was determined to figure out how to leave. I moved us back to his hometown, to be close to his friends and family, as he has always insisted that he wouldn't be able to function in life without me. At that point we had lived in a city for 5 years, where he never once made an attempt to make friends or create a social life for himself. He became extremely codependent and I began feeling suffocated. It further infantilized him in my mind. I tried to see if things would get better after the move, but they didn't. I tried talking about all of these issues with him, but he would shut down and sulk like a punished child, and I would end up apologizing and placating him. He continued to let his parents believe I would change my mind about having children, despite me always being honest with them, and me telling him I would never want them on our second date. I was tired of them insisting I would change my mind, so I got sterilized this year as a gift to myself. Since the surgery, his mother has been cold to me and acting like I betrayed her, when I have always been honest about it. We had an amazing relationship before this, and I sort of blame him for lying to her all of these years. Taking care of him financially ruined me, as he was never willing to look for a better job until his parents wanted him to, and our lifestyle is not exactly frugal. I finally got my financial shit together, and was 1 foot out the door when his father died suddenly. I didn't feel like I could leave his family at this time, as they don't do well during a crisis, and my whole life has basically been a non-stop crisis situation, so I am able to be calm and take care of things during those moments. He started making a lot of backhanded and passive-aggressive comments about our lack of a sex life, and I finally snapped. I laid everything out for him, and explained that I've been wanting to leave for 3 years, that I'm tired of being a parent to a grown man, that I tried to fix things, and have given what should have been the most carefree decade of my life to him so he could continue living on easy mode like he has been his entire life. Now suddenly, he is a completely new person and has been love-bombing me, but needs constant reassurance and acknowledgement every time he does something. It doesn't feel genuine, it just feels like a performance to keep me from leaving. He always said he recognized these things in himself and promised he would change, but he never did until I stopped being intimate with him. No matter what I do, I lose. I'm not close with my family, and most of my friends in the city are his lifelong friends, so I lose my support system. I lose my car, my living situation, one of my dogs, a ton of the things I busted my ass to purchase. I grew up extremely poor, so having my creature comforts is important to me. I have to start over in so many ways, and he gets to continue being taken care of, as his family is well off and always supports him. I get to pay off the debt he put me in, and deal with the scrutiny of all of our friends and family, who somehow view me as the fuck up, because I never finished college and have always been the black sheep of the family. I'm scared, I'm exhausted, and I feel this wound has festered too long to be healed. I don't see a future where we have a sex life, a happy and balanced partnership, or where there is not resentment in my heart. I love him, and I want him to start over as the new man he can be, without that person seeing the worst side of him. I don't want him living life feeling that he has something to prove. I just want to be alone, the only time in my life I have felt truly cared for, when I was doing it myself. I just want happiness for both of us, even if it's painful in the short term, but I hate to see him hurting, even if it means I am suffering to keep him comfortable. Sorry this was so long, but I have had to keep all of this inside for so long, I just needed to vent. I still don't know what I'm going to do, but the right answer feels obvious, I just have to take the leap, for both of us. Honestly, sometimes I wish I would have just died when I was sick, it would have been easier than this. Let me analyze this story for you. This story is a harrowing, emotionally complex portrait of a woman whose 20s were consumed by emotional labor, financial strain, and the burden of raising a partner who never truly grew up. It is a study in chronic self-sacrifice and the slow erosion of identity that occurs when one partner continuously takes on the role of the caregiver, protector, and provider, while the other remains passive, infantilized, and emotionally unavailable. The narrator's journey is marked by a deeply ingrained pattern of caretaking rooted both in her partner's learned helplessness and her own crisis-hardened resilience. She entered the relationship young, at 19, still forming her adult self, and ended up parenting a man 6 years older who clung to childhood excuses and deflected responsibility for his stagnation. Her partner's reliance on her became total, financially, emotionally, socially, and even sexually, leaving her depleted and resentful. What's especially tragic is the disconnect between perception and reality. Her husband is seen as a good guy by the outside world, praised for the most minimal efforts, while she has carried the invisible weight of keeping everything together. Her experience speaks to how patriarchal conditioning often rewards men for basic functioning while punishing women for having limits. Every act of her independence, whether stating her sexual boundaries, refusing motherhood, or managing finances, is treated as betrayal, not autonomy. The mismatch between his public persona and his private failures further isolates her, leaving her without a support system and emotionally gaslit by the double standard. Even the people closest to them, including his family and mutual friends, have been swayed by a narrative that minimizes her suffering and magnifies his. The story also explores the devastating consequences of emotional neglect. Her desires, voice, and even her femininity were slowly stripped away as she molded herself around his needs. His recent efforts at change, sparked not by understanding or empathy, but seemingly by the threat of losing her, ring hollow, performative rather than transformative. They reveal a desperate man trying to maintain comfort, not a partner ready to confront his own dysfunction. Love bombing, requests for validation, and last-minute heroics fail to undo years of imbalance. For her, healing means escape, even if it requires starting over with nothing. Her reflections show a mature understanding of love. She does not wish him harm and even hopes he grows into someone better, but that growth, she realizes, must happen without her. Ultimately, this story is a deeply painful but empowering realization that sometimes, survival requires leaving behind the person you've loved the most, because staying means continuing to abandon yourself. It is not a tale of cruelty or betrayal, but of quiet endurance, invisible labor, and the moral courage it takes to walk away not out of hate, but in pursuit of a life where one's existence is no longer a performance of worthiness.